Welcome back to Girl Talk. I'm coming to you from Island Tire and Automotive Services with my good friend 20Edwards, who is the owner of both locations here on the south end of Hilton Head Island and also one conveniently located on the north end. You are, again, Island Tire and Automotive Services. So a lot of folks just handle tires and some just handle car service, and you really handle it all. And we've covered a lot of stuff here with you. We thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at the range of vehicles that you can cover as far as the age and how things have changed with the technology, and that you can really basically handle it all.
Well, we like to think so. This right here is an example of an 80s CJ8 Jeep. This was pretty much standard automotive technology up until literally the 70s. It's your basic straight six engine. It has a carburetor, a distributor, old school technology, fairly straightforward.
Doesn't look real, it looks complicated to me, but when we'll show you in a little bit the new stuff, it is a totally different picture.
It is a totally different animal. These things are dead reliable. They're not terribly difficult. There's certain things, you have to have certain tools to work on them, like a timing light. If you're going to do a correct tune-up, feeler gauges, because all the adjustments are manual for the valves. But
it's just totally different approach to how you service a vehicle like this.
It is, and you know, these use the old V-belts down in here, and you've got a carburetor up here.
This looks like it's in great shape. I wouldn't know a bad looking engine if I saw one, but to me the vehicle looks like it's in awesome shape, and looks like they've maintained the engine beautifully. And
the owner's done a lot over the years to basically restore and maintain this. We're about to do some suspension work, and we're going to replace some steering equipment that's worn out on it. But it's all kind of our bread and butter stuff that we do on vehicles all the way back to the 1950s.
I think you said you kind of work on some classic cars too, as
We've
well.
got several customers that have several old T-Birds. There's a 55, a 56, a couple of 57s. They're in here from time to time. Mike, our store manager, has a couple of muscle cars. You've seen Vince's 67 Camaro.
Sure have. He's on the north end.
He basically rebuilt that nut and bolt at a time.
Wow.
And he did everything on it, including the body work. Body work is about the only thing we don't do.
But you've got the experience, you've got the guys and the knowledge, so it really would be hard-pressed to bring something in here to Island Tire and Automotive Services that they could not handle.
Exactly.
I mean, you've got it covered. Especially, we're talking new technology. Let's just kind of go to the BMW behind us, and we'll show you that. So we have some new car technology here. It's a BMW, probably early 2000s.
Yeah, this one's a 2001. Not unlike the Jeep, it's a straight six engine. However, you can tell it looks radically different.
It's like you really can't see anything.
Well, you can and you can't.
Well, from my eyes, it's kind of, things are very encased and enclosed.
They are. It's also, you don't have nearly as much room to work on it. It's obviously a much smaller vehicle. It's much more compact.
That makes challenges when doing service, right?
It does. It does, particularly if you ever get a chance to go to the BMW plant and see how they assemble them. When they put an engine in, it doesn't actually go from the top. It comes from underneath on the assembly line. So when you have to do service on one, the engineers don't necessarily think about how do you design it to make it easy. It's more for assembly.
Maybe not so user-friendly from the service side of things.
And then bear in mind, the other vehicle had a carburetor. It has no computer. It's all mechanical adjustment.
Right.
Everything on this vehicle is controlled by a series of computers. You've got the primary one, the ECM, and then you may have a body control module to handle the seats, the climate control, the top. But as far as the engine, the mix of air and fuel is no longer controlled by a carburetor, a mechanical device. It's controlled by the computer and fuel injectors.
Wow.
The reason, part of that is that the vehicle gets better mileage. They run very, very smoothly. They also, most people don't realize, but the computer will allow it to adjust for changing conditions. So we can do a tune-up on a vehicle like that for cold weather, and in really hot weather. And in really hot weather, it may run a little rough.
Right.
It won't run the same. A car like this, with a fuel injection system, will make the adjustment. It senses it. It can tell variations in barometric pressure how much air, how much of a load. You know, are you driving faster, slower, aggressively? And it will basically try to adjust the system to meet what the demands you're placing or what your needs are.
The technology is amazing how it's advanced in such a short period of time and continues to advance. What kind of continuing education do your guys have to deal with as far as keeping up with some of the new models and technology and things that are
that's a constant thing. We work with some of our vendors. We also work with AC Delco. They have an excellent training program. We've got one scheduled for this week, mostly on suspension with one of our vendors. So we'll get dinner for everyone and get together, and they'll talk about it and talk about, here's some new things on the market, here's what we're seeing. We also pay a lot of attention to things like technical service bulletins, where vehicles have been out for a year or two and they've realized, hey, there's an issue with something. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a recall, but it's something that either you update the software or there may be a redesigned part.
So if one of your customers has that particular vehicle, you can kind of address it with them.
Anytime you run into a challenging, drivability issue, one of the first things we look for, are there any TSBs? Are there any issues specific to this year or particular engine or transmission where they figured out that, it wasn't a perfect design, but there's an alternative?
A lot goes on behind the scenes here at Island Tire and Automotive Services, and their main goal is to make sure that your car is as safe and well maintained as possible, that you get the most mileage out of it as you can. And it's really about, again, forming that partnership. We've talked about that in previous episodes. Getting that partnership, just like you would have with your physician, you want to kind of do the same thing with your vehicle and have somebody that's trusted and knowledgeable and is up with the education, so that you're dealing with the folks that are staying on top of how things change, and that, again, that technology is changing all the time. So as always, Barry, thank you for being with us today on Girl Talk, and we're glad to have you here as well. I'm Debbie Court. We will see you next time.